I've got some gifts for you. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Sunny. If this is your first time meeting me, my name is Sunny Harrell. I've spent the last 16 years working in more than a dozen professional kitchens all around the world. And I realize now out of the 65 recipes I've done, I've never actually made like a kitchen gift guide video. So that's what today's video is going to cover. So all of the items and equipment I'll be covering in this video are all available on Amazon, and I'm gonna link them up in the description underneath this video. So you need good equipment, you need good tools to make great food. That is just a fact, it's a given, there's no getting around it. So over the years I've definitely picked up a heavy preference for the tools, the knives, the equipment, and the machines I like to use when I'm working in the kitchen. Okay, so let's dive straight into my list, and we're gonna start with this mandolin. So this is the baby, the sweet, sweet mandolin I've been using for the last 12 years of my cooking career. They come straight from Japan. They're cheap, they're light, they're durable, and they're very portable. If you want to see this thing in action, I'm going to put a link in the corner now to an amazing mango and papaya coleslaw. And so this mandolin is heavily featured in that video. But let me take you in for a little sneak peek and show you how this works. So to adjust the size, you just flip the back and you have this little knob. It just spins right or left. So when I'm spinning it clockwise right now, it's dropping this little shelf, which is exposing that blade, if you can see that. And when I'm turning it counterclockwise, I'm just closing it. So that's what I do when I'm just keeping it stored, so you can't cut yourself on that. Also, it's gonna come with these little teeth that you can use to make shoestring sized pieces. I love these little settings. They are great for making a little matchstick salad. And this works simply by turning it over, unscrewing these little knobs, sliding in your piece, screwing that back in, really nice and simple, just snug. And now when you flip it back, you see here, we have all these teeth that are now exposed, ready to make little matchsticks. Will also come with this guard that slides on here. And this is really helpful. A mandolin is a thing that's really feared kind of in professional kitchens. I was never that afraid of them, but use a guard when you're getting low on any kind of vegetable or fruit or whatever it is, and that is just gonna do you a lot of good for safety. Again, super cheap, amazing tool, and just something that I need to have a mandolin. It's not like something I can't have. I need a mandolin like I need a knife or a good pan. Now moving on to the next item, which is the Tojiro bread knife. Man, do I love this bread knife. This is also made in Japan, and this thing just blasts through bread like a lightsaber through butter. It just looks like, I just think it has the coolest kind of shape. A little curvature here, pointed tip, cool handle. Really feels solid in your hand. Good amount of flex to this knife. You see that? You can really, you could cut corners if you needed to. Balance is right around here where the hilt meets the blade, perfect for me. This is a bread knife, but it's also great for pastry, it's great for cutting fruit, it's great for cutting some vegetables, and I really just use it every time I cook. That's it, Tojiro bread knife. If you're looking for a good bread knife, honestly, look no further. I've gone through so many, I've used those Globals, Max, all different kinds, and this really is the preferred one for me. And also all my chef buddies, anyone who's bought one of these, they always yes, I love it. It's the most badass bread knife ever, and it is. Okay, now moving on to this little petty knife that I found on Amazon and I've been gifting to a lot of people. I just love, love, love the size of this knife. A lot of petties you'll see are quite a bit smaller than this knife. So having that little bit of extra blade just really helps with a lot of different kitchen tasks. It's also very lightweight, nice wood handle. I like the black and brown look. Good amount of flex to this knife. Also great for turning corners on vegetables and things like that. Balance is there a little below the hilt. It's nice. It's really light, this knife. Really light. It's just one that's good to have out when you don't want to commit to using a whole chef's knife or something and you just have a small task. Just great to have out on your board. I could skin a little piece of salmon with this. I could brunoise a little shallot. I could cut some herbs. It's just a very versatile knife. If you're looking for a good petty knife, this is definitely one I would recommend. Now let's move on to the next. Okay, so moving on to this little palette knife. It may seem insignificant to you, but this is a tool I definitely could not live without. So these things are meant more for pastry, spreading icing on a cake, but I use this thing to turn small items when I'm frying them in a saute pan, like scallops or bellinis or a vegetable, for instance. You're just never gonna be able to do that detailed work with like a big spatula. Like these little ones just work best for small items. You can just get in there and easily flip. And also this thing just has a ton of flex, so if you wanted to release like dauphinoise potatoes from a baking tray, it would be also great for that. If you've ever had to make like 1,000 bellinis a day, you would definitely know the importance of one of these. So, and something I would store all these tools in, my knife bag, which I absolutely love and I've had for almost 3 years now, and it is holding up very well. So let me show you this design. There's just 2 straps. Different size settings you could adjust. Just undo those, you unroll your bag. There's this little cloth that folds over your knives here. And they all just roll up in here. So, you know, I would keep tools in here, some spoons, maybe that little turner, my knives, and just general things that I'm gonna need when I'm doing a dinner. So I hold my 7 knives in here that I use for cooking, and they all fit comfortably. I think you could fit more if you wanted to, but we're almost at capacity here, just in terms of it being able to fit and roll up in your bag. But if you did want to add more knives, there is more room to cut some holes here, so you could definitely get a little more room. You belong in here, my friend. There you go. And when you're ready to go, just simply roll it up, straps in, there's your little chef's satchel. So another cool thing about this bag is obviously just the strap. You just throw it over your shoulder like this, sits on the hip. I'd be happy to go hike with this. It's comfy, looks cool, good to go. So a bag like this, you know, I would recommend more obviously to professional chefs or someone who is mobile and has some knives that they care about. If you're cooking at home all the time, there's no real reason to get a knife satchel like this. But if you're someone who has some knives you care about and you travel a lot and you like to take your knives with you, then definitely you're gonna wanna get a chef bag. It's also just a great place to store your knives. You know, if you're someone like me who sees the value in investing in a good knife, you're definitely gonna wanna keep it safe, keep it protected, keep some knife covers on it, which by the way, I will put some links to those knife covers you saw inside of here as well below in the description. But that's it, you know, I love my knife bag. I'm a couple years in with this and it's holding up amazingly. Okay, so next up on the list, a high-powered blender for making smooth, silky, velvety soups and purees is a must-have. So like this KitchenAid blender here, you know, for how powerful the motor is and where it's priced at, it's really a great value. Really simple, just the power button, 5 settings of speed, ice crusher, and a pulse. What I like about this blender, it's just solid, durable. It holds 7 cups, but obviously if you're doing soups and stuff, you're just gonna fill it about halfway, but it is big, it holds a lot of liquid. Just pops off like that. Lid comes off, you have your little vent here on top, goes back on, and it just snaps back in like that, right? So it just catches and releases like this. Really easy, it's easy to clean, easy to wash out. So again, you know, at its price point and for how powerful it is really is a blender I would recommend. So a standing KitchenAid mixture is something that I cannot live without in my kitchen. These will come with a dough hook, which we'll talk about more in a second. A paddle, which you would use to cream butter and sugar like that, say you're baking cookies. A whisk, which you can use to whisk egg whites, cream, anything like that. So I use my KitchenAid mostly for baking, you know, I don't really use it to make bread. That's why I chose the one with the least powerful motor. It's also the cheapest because I know it can just handle most pastry and baking items. But if you're someone who wants to make like a bunch of bread and you want a bread to be a big part of your KitchenAid purchase, you're gonna wanna get one with a more powerful motor. So I'm gonna link up 2 KitchenAids below, one like this that I just use for pastry, and I'm gonna put one with a more powerful motor if you're into baking bread. Thing is, if I'm making bread and I'm using this one with a weaker motor, it's just working really hard and it could break the machine. So if you're someone who wants to do a lot of baking and you want to make bread, I would say buy one with a better motor. But if you're someone like me who just wants to like cream butter and sugar and do other pastry items, then I would recommend getting the one with the cheaper motor. You know, and a quick tip I just cannot let you leave here today without knowing is when you're creaming butter and sugar, the best trick. Get a blowtorch, and as it's creaming, just work your way around the bottom like this, and all that butter will just collapse back on itself, and you'll never have to scrape it with a rubber spatula and then scrape it off the side and then scrape it back in. You'll never do that again. You're just gonna use the blowtorch, and if you don't have one, just use a hot towel and hold it on the edge because that works too. So another cool thing about these KitchenAids is there's all these attachments you can get, right? So if you wanted to grind meat in here, if you wanted to put a pasta machine attachment on here and make fresh pasta, you could do that, and various other things. So that's something I really love about KitchenAids, is that you can use them for so many purposes. It's not just for baking, it's not just for bread, like it's for pretty much everything. Well, that's it. You know, I know a KitchenAid might be kind of a big purchase. I waited a long time before I could afford to get one, but now that I have one, my life is just so much better. I mean, have you ever whipped a bunch of cream by hand? You know how much that burns? Okay, so now I'm gonna take you through some of my favorite cookbooks that I've acquired over the years. You know, a chef is never done learning, and if you love to cook at home, you're never done learning as well, right? There's so much. Think about all the ingredients in the world, all the cultures, all the different cuisines, and then combining it all. I mean, it's mind-blowing amount of information. So if you don't know about this book, you're gonna love this. This is the Flavor Bible. So let me show you how this works. Okay, say I'm Sunny, I wanna make a dish, I'm doing a private party in Aspen, peaches are in season. I wanna make something with peaches, but I wanna know like what kind of combinations are good with the flavor of a peach. So you open the Flavor Bible. It's all alphabetical, so I go to P. So here we go, peaches. It's gonna give me a little bit of like the seasonal, late spring, early autumn, taste, sweet, function, heating, weight, medium, volume, moderate. It's gonna give you some techniques like you could bake, broil, grill, blah, blah, blah. Now here's the coolest part. Underneath the peaches, it's gonna list me all these natural combinations that go with peach. So I'm looking here, allspice, okay, great. Almonds, obviously. Anise, wonderful combination with peach. Apples, apricots, and so this is all alphabetical too. Bay leaf, beverage, blackberries, blueberries, bourbon, brandy, you know, and this list goes on, right? There's probably like 75 different combinations with peach here. And so you can do that with any food item and just come up with some really great combinations for your dish. You know, that is just such an amazing idea for a cookbook, and I know you're gonna love it just as much as I do. Okay, so the next cookbook I'm gonna recommend is Bar Tartine. Just a sick, amazing, incredible, creative techniques or off the hook cookbook. They do a section on soaking and sprouting seeds, on animal fats. They have an amazing section on preserves and pickles and making your own vinegars. Some really cool stocks in here, awesome dashis, things like that. It's just like as a chef, like every single thing in this book, you're just looking at, you're like, wow, I really want to try that sometime. Like it's just so creative and cool and seasonal and fun. So if you're looking to learn, you're looking to grow, this is definitely a cookbook I would recommend. State Bird Provisions is another incredible cookbook. Also great ferments, pickles, aiolis, sauces, a great section on savory pancakes. I love savory pancakes. And just an all-around really creative book and a really great one if you want to learn. So definitely check that out if you are an aspiring home cook or a professional chef alike. This book, Ad Hoc at Home, Thomas Keller, oh my God. So, you know, Thomas Keller, he's got all these 2-3 Michelin star restaurants, but this is his restaurant where he just does the most beautiful comfort food, just all executed with great technique. And so what I love about this is a lot of his books, you're like reading through them and it's like step 1, like kill an Iberian pig and salt it and dry it for 3 months. And you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this recipe. But with Ad Hoc at Home, you can really cook everything out of this book. And it is such a good book for home cooks. If you're a home cook, this is your book. I so recommend you getting this, reading through the whole thing, and just cooking as much as you can out of it. Even as a professional chef, this book has been by far the most practical for me, and I really love it, and I'm going to continue to love it for the rest of my days. Well, that is all for my kitchen guide gift for this holiday season. I hope there was something in this list that you found interesting and that you may like to gift to someone. If you want to see some of these tools more in action, I'm going to put some of my cooking recipes up here as I walk away. And that is it for today, my friend. I hope you got some value out of this content right here. If you liked it, do not forget to leave it a like. Also, likes and comments are really helpful for my channel, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.